This is great. All right, we are live, Lab Coat Agents. Thank you for being here today on Friday afternoon, wherever you're coming from. And I'm really excited for this one. We've been working on this for a little while now. This is like bringing the brother and the sister together. I'm not going to say who the male and who the female is here.
I think it's,
however,
hold on, Jeff. I think it's like Batman and Superman.
I mean, brother and sister, man. I'm thinking about like the Deep South.
I don't even want to go there.
All right, we're way off task already. This is exactly what happens every single time. Ladies and gentlemen of Lab Coat Agents, if you are not familiar with the National Real Estate Post, I always describe Tristan Ahumada as the godfather of social media to real estate. I would describe Frank and Brian, we have Brian Stevens on with us today, as the godfathers to the mortgage industry. And so it only makes sense to bring both together, to bring both audiences together, to bring massive content. And if you don't know Frank and Brian, the National Real Estate Post, they deliver the highest level updates and strategies and content to the mortgage industry, really the real estate industry in general, but mortgage is their primary audience, right? Via email, soon to be an app. We're talking about people like Barry Habib that are regulars on their show, delivering what is happening today in our industry. And now we're going to share that with you, the Lab Coat Agents community, and vice versa. So obviously I have my friend and cohort and the man himself, Tristan Ahumada, with me. And despite what it says on the screen, it's not Frank Garay. This is Brian Stevens. Brian, welcome to this new partnership, man. We're excited.
I'm totally stoked about this. I think it's like the coolest thing ever.
I love it, man. Well, when Jeff initially told me about this, I was like, oh, yeah, I talked to them. That's a really good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier.
Yeah, you know what? And I'll tell you, here's one of the reasons why is I don't know why more lenders and realtors don't really kind of get together on a much more formal basis, on a regular basis, because we have a symbiotic relationship with each other, meaning we're both trying to help the same client, but we're not going after the same commission. And you know, a lot of the stuff that we read right now and a lot of the stuff that we're doing really talks about crowdsourcing. But crowdsourcing is also something you could do intellectually with ideas, where if you could bring more minds to the table, you could figure out things better because you've got more people looking at what could be problems and as a consequence solutions. So crowdsourcing is not just a way to make your marketing better in terms of the physical activity of doing it, but it's also great to come up with ideas. And it's like a workout buddy or something like that. You know, hey, listen, I might not go to the gym if I'm going by myself, but if I'm supposed to meet somebody down there, I probably won't miss it. So I think the whole idea of lenders and realtors coming together and really looking at marketing in a different manner. The world has changed in a whole bunch of ways. There's a bunch of great lenders who would love to work with a bunch of great realtors with some great ideas. And I want to go over one of those today.
I love it, man.
I love it, dude. Well, let's do it.
Cool. I love it. Well, you know, before we do that,
sure.
Tristan, let's not assume that our audience is very familiar with National Real Estate Post. So beyond what I said, Brian, can you give our audience just like a quick little commercial about what the National Real Estate Post is, where they can join, where they can find you, and what they will get by following you guys?
Okay, so the National Real Estate Post is just that, thenationalrealestatepost.com. And if you subscribe to us, we're going to send you a video on a daily basis, and we're not going to spam you. And we're going to try to give you the most important key components in about 5 minutes of what's happening in real estate and lending. And then we'd like to add a little sales nourishment because these are hard times and maybe put a smile on your face. Now, we came up with this idea 12 years ago in 2008 when I got to tell you, I was really smart in 2008 because my business was going great. It was fantastic. And then, you know, the meltdown hit, and then, you know, you lose your business because everything falls apart. And then I started realizing I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. It's amazing how a stacked bank account will change how you view yourself. So anyways, what we did is we were trying to reach out to local real estate agents, and we are coming from a lender's perspective. And it was a handful of people in the little town where I live in called Vacaville. And we figured the best way to do it was this thing nobody heard of called YouTube. And really do the math. I mean, nobody had really heard of this. And we thought, boy, we could figure out how to shoot a video. And you know, viral at that time was something that was curable with a topical cream. People didn't understand viral as a means of communication. And so we were sending our video out to a handful of agents and lenders and saying, hey, this is good, this is bad, don't do this, and put a smile on your face. And we went from a handful to 1,000, from 1,000 to 10,000, from 10,000 to 100,000. And the next thing you know is we found most mortgage lenders in the country were watching our show on a daily basis. And it's not because we were more professional than anybody. I think it was because we were relatable. We were consistent, and we meant everything that we said. In hindsight, we probably wouldn't have done that. We probably would have screwed the whole thing up, but we had no idea conceptually that it was going to catch on. So yeah, I've spent the better part of the past decade, just traveling the country, talking with realtors, talking with lenders, talking with, our elected officials, with the heads of our agencies, and just trying to do the right thing for lenders and realtors. And it's been as Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead once waxed and waned so poetically, what a long, strange trip it's been.
I
love it. So give our audience an example. Let's just say in the last couple of days, you guys put out a video and you send it out via email. What would it entail? What would it include? What would they be watching?
Well, I mean, so tomorrow, one of the big things that we need to look at is the fact that we didn't lose 8.5 million jobs, but we actually gained 2.5 million jobs. And this is a great sign, because when you're looking at unemployment statistics, it's a lagging indicator. It's something that really took place 2 months ago. Yeah. So what this tells me is even though we're still in quarantine, as we start to come out of this, it really projects well for the upcoming months. Now, we saw the stock market the last time I checked today. I think it was up at 850 points. We've seen disproportionately low interest rates right now. But if we start to see more people going back to work, we'll probably see a tick up in interest rates. So from a lender's perspective, today for me would probably be a pretty good day to lock your loan based on what we just saw come out. A couple other things that I saw is right now, we have inventory, which is unbelievably low. But we just saw from Loan Depot that more people who are considering buying a house intend to do it in the next 8 weeks. A lot of people who are buying homes see this market as an opportunity to purchase. A lot of people who are thinking of selling their homes are thinking it's not the right time. So what this has led to is a lack of inventory across the country. But according to the National Association of Realtors, 75% of people who own homes right now think it's a pretty good time to sell their house, yet they're not doing it. So how do we generate more inventory, okay, and take advantage of all the great opportunities with our low interest rate and this massive desire for people to purchase homes? Because when our small communities buy homes, we're infusing and injecting money and commerce, desperately needed money into our communities. That's going to help them get through these hard times. So, all right, that's the problem. What's the solution? That's the conflict. Where's the resolution? Well, the resolution is that our real estate agent partners have to go out there and find a way to have a different conversation with these folks who are sitting on the fence, the 75% that NAR identified. Now, easier said than done. But what we're really looking at doing right now is not saying, hey, I'm a great agent, list with me, I'll get you top dollar. What we need to be doing is saying, let me dispel the myths about this market right now. You will not be selling into a soft market. You will be selling into a good market right now in almost every major metropolitan area. And in fact, when you start looking at your move up homes, you might be able to sell your house for top dollar and then find concessions on your purchase going forward. Let me show you some houses that are actively listed right now and what we can get for you and why this is a great time to sell. We have to dispel the myths of these people and get them off the fence so we can really get the lifeblood of the real estate and mortgage industry moving again.
I love that, dude.
That right there, Tristan. Let me ask you: Do you subscribe to the National Real Estate Post? Do you ever watch their videos on a daily basis?
Not on a daily basis, but I am subscribed to them and I do watch them and I know who they are. So, yeah, definitely.
Don't worry, Tristan. I don't watch me on a daily basis. I write them, so I don't have to watch them.
I was gonna say you guys create the content, so it's different. Jeff, how about you, buddy?
About subscribing, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yes, man. Not only that, I mean, so I'm in the mortgage industry, Brian, and we've never met until right now. I've talked to Frank many times now, but my sales manager, Sean Curley, he swears by you guys. He shares your videos, I'd say probably 3 to 5 times a week. And what I want to convey to the real estate world is this, like, don't muddy this into your industry as though we're saying you now need to become the expert in our business, because we don't want you to.
No, not at all.
But if you want to be hip to what's happening, these guys are super tactical, and they give us such amazing advice. Like he said, when to lock a loan, and we use it like Bible. I mean, whether they say it or Barry says it, sometimes together, it's Bible. And so you guys, it's good to know this stuff. So that way, hey, you might grab what they say, call us, call your lender and be like, I just heard. And then, you know, it just equips you to be even better and be even wiser. And that's why I think it's super, super valuable.
I appreciate that, man. I absolutely appreciate that. That was cool.
Yep. Awesome. Well,
it's right on,
good,
man.
good.
I think that's the key. The key to this is that on our side, so I come from the real estate world, right? We understand, well, you know, the professionals on the real estate world understand the processes that are involved with real estate. But when it comes to mortgages, I'll be the first one to say I don't understand everything on it, right? I can talk to you about it, but I'm not the pro. I'd go to Jeff and be like, hey, Jeff, can you explain this to them? Because, you know, this is out of my loop. So it's cool that we're able to bring both of our strengths together to both of our communities, because your community is going to need to understand our side a little better, right? Which will just make them think differently. And the same with us, right? So we can work more in tandem with whoever we work with that's on the lending side.
Yeah, you know, and the mortgage industry is very dynamic and very fluid at the same time. It's kind of like the weather in the Midwest. If you don't like it, stick around an hour, it's going to change. And, you know, and lenders don't want their realtor partners to, this is going to sound bad, but to be meddling in the loans or to be expert on the loans. We don't want it. Stay in your own lane. Don't be your own doctor. Just like you don't want somebody showing houses for you. And the reason for it is because when you have a trusted advisor or a trusted partner, and it's really a partnership, you know you can lean on that partner to do their job, and that allows a realtor to focus on what they need to be doing. And as I said before, a real estate agent's job in this market right now, it is not to sell a home. A real estate agent's job, if you get a listing, your job is not to sell that home. Your job is to get the next listing. Your job is to generate the opportunity to get that next listing. Your job in this market, if we read the tea leaves of the market, is that we have a lot of people who aren't selling homes who think they should, but have misconceptions about what the market is. The highest and best use of a real estate agent's time is going out there and being a fantastic salesperson. Listen, when that contract comes in, you'll fill it out. It'll go great. You'll bring it to your team. It'll work. Your lender will do his job. You know, if we stay in our own lanes and we really focus on what our bottlenecks are in this industry from a lender and a realtor standpoint, we could do some pretty remarkable stuff. And I'll tell you this right now, this is just me. This is Brian. So this does not represent the voice of everybody who's on this call right now. But when I look at these fintech companies who jumped in the market, then jumped out of the market because they didn't have something that was sustainable after this whole COVID thing, I think it really showed what their true colors were. And I think this is an opportunity for great agents in local markets to really pick up market share and not give it away to these fintech iBuying platforms. And the best way to do that is to work in tandem with great lending partners. And there are great lenders who want to work with great realtors, but we have to vet and seek out these relationships. I'm seeing it happen in my sphere of influence, my personal ecosystem on a regular basis. And that's one thing I really want to convey to people today as we're going to go through a simple strategy is, hey, let's not do this by ourselves. Let's do it together. One, because it's easier. And two, because everything's way more fun when you do it with somebody else.
100%. Before we get into that strategy, I wanted to say one thing, because coming from the lending world. So I'm this lone wolf in lab coat agents for the most part. There's a handful of lenders that engage and participate, but I'm probably, and Tristan can probably attest, the one who engages the most. And it's because I'm not like a typical lender who just vomits mortgage. In fact, I vomit no mortgage. You barely would even know I was in mortgage unless I was wearing this shirt. And I think part of it is we want to bring that. So those of you that are a part of National Real Estate Post that aren't familiar with lab coat agents, we're going to help teach you something to bring you together to where you are actually partners. You're not just the credit card, right? Or you're not just there to just service a loan, because that's what you tell your realtor partners is, let me take you out for a cup of coffee and let me tell you how great I am. No, we're going to help teach you how you can bring value to your real estate partners to work together to grow your business. And that is the key component. That's what Frank and Brian do a phenomenal job on their side, and what we do a great job. And now we're going to bring them together and hopefully make many more marriages in real estate and mortgage, I think.
Love it.
So Brian, you have a killer strategy that includes parks and a blow up a screen and lots of fun.
Yeah.
This is a great idea for realtors. Please share.
And by the way, very tactically, I do believe that anybody who's doing any type of marketing, you have to be able to enjoy it. You can't hate it. Like, we have this assumption built in that, boy, the more I hate it, the more effective it's going to be. It's like going to the gym. You know, the longer I run, the faster I run, the better shape I'm going to get in. It's not the case with marketing, because here's what happens. If you do things you can't stand, it's not sustainable. But difficult marketing is holding your breath underwater. So I always try to look for a work-life balance and things that I can do. So again, some of the stats that we just talked about going into this, we have a lack of inventory in every major metropolitan area in the country. That's the problem. It's not the buyers. A survey just came out today. It was talking about how many buyers want to buy homes. The misconception is with the sellers, and we've known this for quite some time. So I started thinking, well, how's a real estate agent going to go get more listings? You're going to call on expires? Well, yeah, you and 50,000 other people. How would you like to be on the receiving end of that? Oh my God, another realtor, stop it, click. You're going to call on FSBOs? They love you. Are you going to door knock? Not in this new COVID world. Are you going to spam people? Which is basically CRMs and, texting campaigns right now. What are we going to do? How do we get through to these people? Okay. So here's the fundamental problem. If I go to solicit you for anything and you don't know I'm coming, that is inherently unwelcome. It's like when somebody calls you, hey, Brian, you just want a Caribbean cruise, click. Hey, Brian, the prayer hotline, click. You're like, wait, hey, Brian, here's 100,000, click. Like we all have this reaction to people, when we are solicited. As Jeffrey Gitomer says, everybody wants to buy, but nobody likes to be sold. So I started thinking, well, maybe part of the problem with this whole thing is, to dispel these myths, are I'm going to them. And these ways are drying up right now. What if I could get the buyers to come to me? Just change the whole sales approach, ass over tea kettle. Would that not be better? Now, then the other thing I started noticing is that people have been sitting in their house for 3 months going crazy, and I can only plant so many tomato plants. And I started looking at the parks around my house, and people are going out to the parks. They're not watching baseball games. They're not watching basketball games. They're like, again, there's only so much crap we can do in our garden. So I'm noticing the tennis courts and the parks around my house are getting more use than they ever have. Bicycle sales are just off the charts right now. Everybody's riding a bike again. People haven't ridden a bike for 30 years are getting on bikes with their kids. We're trying to find a way to leave our house, right? And I'm seeing this going on, and I'm thinking to myself, this probably isn't such a bad thing. Then after the whole COVID thing, we saw what took place this last week, and I don't want to get into that at all. The only thing I want to say is, I think it would be better if we could do things in our community where we can show that we're cool to each other. Like that was like, how we just stay out of the politics. Just can we find a way to be cool? So when you look at all these dynamics, how can we put this whole thing together? And I thought to myself, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to show a movie in a park, because I have a 12-year-old daughter who thinks I'm a superstar. We're not going to tell her I'm not. And when they think you're a superstar, you want to go out there and you want to try to play the role. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to this park where all these people are going to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a movie, but I'm not going to just do this the wrong way. We're going to go big. We're going to go good. Okay. Well, how much is it going to cost, and what are the dynamics at play? And then how can I market this? So here's what I want to share with everybody right now. I want to give you a blow by blow, how you could do this exact strategy. I'll give you everything. Okay. Now, what I realized after people started showing up, and they did in droves, is I thought, boy, I could actually put some flyers up here for a real estate agent. I could say, hey, this show tonight is brought to you by, Frank Garay. And so if you have any questions about real estate, he's back there throwing bocce balls, why don't you go over there and have a conversation with him? We have just completely disarmed the sales process. because now somebody's coming down to the park, and the whole law of reciprocity, I say, hey, Frank Garay's bringing this to you, this realtor. Have a conversation with them on your terms. It becomes an easier conversation. And when you have an easier conversation, the person who you're trying to persuade is going to be more inclined to hear the words actually coming out of your mouth, rather than the alternative, which is, you want to sell your house? It's a good time. No, it changes the dynamics where your conversion ratio goes up. Now, even if I fail miserably, just fail miserably, I'm still a champ to my 12-year-old daughter. Like, I can't lose. So I want to share the strategy with you, and I want to show you some of the results that I got. And this is pretty much everything soup to nuts. I break down the costs on this. It's not the cheapest thing in the world to do, but it's not terribly expensive, and it's a one-time expense. And if you got one listing out of this as a real estate agent, you're good for the next decade doing movies. And you own all the infrastructure. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to screen share with you right now, and I'm going to pull up my stuff. And
While you're doing that, Brian,
sure.
Tristan, what does that sound like? What we've said, I'm still a hero to my daughter or my kids. That's like TikTok. It's like, if you use TikTok, maybe it'll grow your business. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to have a hell of a good time and create some memories with your kids. Thank you, Brian, for doing that. It allowed me to plug TikTok again.
Well, and here's my whole thing is that I'm enjoying the movie too. I'm enjoying the whole thing. Like this, by the end of the night, I get a couple of my son's friends to come help me out with the crap I don't want to do because I'm too old. And I sit there and I talk with neighbors I've never met in droves. And I set up great marketing opportunities. By the way, you could also get food trucks to go down if you chose to. They will come because it's a great opportunity if you're putting 200 people in a park. 300 people in a park for 3 hours.
Yep.
You could do this with title people if you wanted to offset the cost. But my whole thing is, listen, as a realtor or lender, you want to be good. Just go places your competition won't. Just be better than them. That's it. And this is a chance. All right. Is there a cost? Yeah, but it ain't that big. Okay. So this is one of the slides that I had before my movie started. So I was just kind of thinking like the nature of the world right now. And I just thought having something as, the sun is going down. I play music, just comfortable, easy music that people are going to like, cool music, but, and I have a couple of different slides that I show. So I put this one up there based on the crazy nature of the world this last week. Here's my slide that I made. So everything is here. Drive-in movies at Orchard Park. We're going to watch Trolls 2. Here's the date. Here's the time. Of course, I have safe, social distancing, fun. I'm the buzzwords that people are looking for right now. Now, people in Vacaville are obviously going to know what Orchard Park is. And I'm not trying to blast everyone. I'm trying to blast people in North Vacaville, which is a community of probably 50,000 people. Games and food start at 7:30. The movie starts at 9 o'clock. I could start the movie a little earlier, just depending on when it's really going to get dark where you live. I mean, you got to figure out what the time is. I'm doing mine on Sunday. In hindsight, Saturday probably would have been a better day because people have work on Monday. But I'm staying here because consistency is important to me. And I'm now going on week 3. And I'm starting to get a group of people who are inviting their friends, those other homeowners, their neighbors. And so people are getting conditioned for Sunday night. But I'm generally starting my movie a little bit earlier. Now, I am providing drinks, waters and sodas, because I can buy 2 cases of water for $4 and 2 12-packs of soda for $10 and throw it in an ice chest. And then with a popcorn, I went and got myself a giant wok and actual popcorn. And in 15 minutes, I can pop 10 trash bags full of popcorn, and it doesn't cost me a dime. So that type of stuff, I'm providing it because I just want people to come and enjoy it and not feel obligated to anything. In fact, I want them to feel like they need to actually talk with my salespeople who are participating with me on this. Like, let's create that guilt. Guilt is a great sales tool. Okay, so this is what my flyer looks like. Now, what I did is I put my flyer over here on, let me go. Oh, so I went to a local community-based, Vacaville community-based site that has a lot of people on it, okay?
Cool.
Now, anybody can go and find these groups. Every community has them. You can find them with 10,000 people, 20,000 people. And some of these sites are really hyper engaged, and that's a great place to be. So I don't live in this group. I'm just basically co-opting the database of somebody else and providing something free of charge. So now if I go to, let me go here. Okay, here we go.
Right, are you gonna also share what you provide in terms of like what it entailed in terms of the equipment?
Absolutely everything.
Cool.
Absolutely everything. Okay, so here's the site where I shared that flyer on. I think it's here. Nice looking. Okay, here it is. So you could see on the 29th, which was almost a last minute thing, I shared this on this community-based site, and you'll notice I had 32 people share this. So these are 32 people that I don't know, that don't know me. I just posted into this group. Each one of those people who shared it is sharing it with their personal ecosystem. So now I'm not just sharing it to the ecosystem or the database, that is this community-based site on Facebook, but now it's being shared amongst the people in the group to their spheres of influence, their databases, their ecosystems, you know, a whole bunch of people who have no clue who I am. So now I'm having other people marketing what I'm doing, and all I did was post this. So here's my 32 shares, and here's my comments on the stuff. And then I posted it on my wall as well, but that's all the marketing that I did. Okay, and that was based on this flyer that I put together, and I'll explain to you guys how you can make flyers super, super easy. Okay, so here is the marketing piece that I put up here. My business partner, Frank Garay, and his wife. Frank's mom has been selling real estate for 40 years. His wife's been doing it for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, and Frank helps her out, so he's licensed too. So I just made a simple slide on PPT, or I'm using Keynote because I use a Mac. And I made a slide that I can just go ahead and put up there before the movie as I am playing music and waiting for it to get darker. So I can go through between these different slides. And then before the movie starts is what I did was I announced that this movie is being brought to you from my good friends, Frank and Brenda Garay from Vogelpool Real Estate, who've been doing this for 20 years, or, you know, they've been part of Vacaville for 40 years. There's a lot of misconceptions about real estate right now. It is a great time to list a house if you've thought about moving but haven't really had a conversation. This is an easy way for you to sit down and just have your questions answered by my great friends. And they're over here playing bocce ball and, you know, drinking a soda and just hanging out in a lounge chair. So we make it very, very approachable. So now, again, remember, now Frank is not going to these other people. Now we're in a park setting in the evening with people's families and kids. And it becomes very easy to say, hey, Frank, how are you doing? I'm doing good. And then, of course, that person's going to hear you, so your conversion ratio goes through the roof. It's way better than just like the hard calling. Okay, so these are my beginning slides for my movie night. So this is kind of what the idea is, all right? Now, don't let this scare anybody off. You know, well, how are we going to do this? Because it's not that hard. So here's the first thing I decided. So my park and most parks have tennis courts around them, okay? So I was thinking about building up an infrastructure for my screen. But then I thought, well, I don't really need to do that. I can just go ahead and I can tie my movie to the side of this tennis court screen, and I just have to get the right canvas, okay? And then I can project onto this, and I've got all, you know, the park behind me. So here's Orchard Park. So basically, what that's the chain link fence that you're looking at right there, that becomes a giant drive-in movie screen. So here's what you're going to want to get. You're going to want to get yourself some bungee cords. All right. So I looked these up. You can get these at Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere. And if you just get a box of your standard, you know, Coleman 20-inch stretch cords, they don't need to be this. They could be anything. But the cost on that is about $8. Now, this is kind of an important one, okay? Is you want to get yourself a flash drive. And the reason is because if you're going to be showing your, if you're going to be doing this movie in a park thing, you want to make sure that everything is autonomous, that you don't have to rely on an energy source and you don't want to have to rely on any type of broadband. So if you can take a movie and you can download it onto a flash drive, then you can go ahead and plug that into a computer or into a projector, and you don't have to worry about going online with anything. There's multiple sites, including Amazon Prime, that will allow you to download movies. If you want to go to a site where PrimeWire is a great site, where if you just go to primewire.com, you can essentially download any movie you want for free. And that's primewire.com. Now, when you get a flash drive here, this is about the size of your thumb if you're not familiar with them. I always get one that's about 128 gigs, and which is like this, I'm dating myself. When I was getting, flash drives and hard drives, they were like in megs, and now they're in gigs and on flash drives. Your average movie download file size is going to be about a gig. You could put 120 movies on one of these little thumb drives. And they download in 5 minutes. You can get a flash drive anywhere at a local, at your Best Buy, at Target, anywhere. But you want to get something that's about 128 gigs, because why wouldn't we? You'll never need to get another one.
It's only $20. That's why.
Yeah, and they're $20. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so here's the whole thing. If anybody does any type of video for real estate or lending, everybody who's good at doing video will tell you sound matters. Sound is huge. You don't want to have bad sound. It's massive. So what I'm going to ask you to do is invest in a halfway decent sound system for your movie in the park. Imagine going to the movie theaters and having horrible sound. You'd walk out.
Yeah.
Now, I have a Bose. It's a bar, but it's about the same thing as this. And this thing at $200 has remarkable sound, and the bass and the baritone is like super, super deep and rich. And this will work for what our purposes are. The other thing is, if you're going to invest in a speaker, is that this has Bluetooth or wireless capabilities. Okay. So now all of a sudden, your computer doesn't have to be hardwired into your sound. You can simply sync them together, and it just makes things easier. And this is also great for music before the movie starts, because we sit there and throw a Frisbee around and play croquet and bring the dogs out there. So it's cool to have tunes going on. And then, oh, by the way, when you go home, you've got a totally badass speaker for your house when you decide to go back to planting tomatoes and not marketing. So the SoundTouch 10 wireless speaker, this Bose, is great, and this is a Best Buy ad. And again, guys, I know I'm burning through this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this presentation available to my lab coat friends, and so you can have this presentation so you can go back through and check it out. And then, of course, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and call with any questions that you might have. But this is soup to nuts what you need.
Love it.
All right. Here's the big one. This home cinema, this Epson, it's $550. Now, you want to have a projector that has adequate lamp lights. So when you start to if you go down to Best Buy or you start looking at projectors, you can find them for $200, $300. And I have those for when I travel, because you can put them in a backpack. You want to get like one of these Epsons. They have one for $650. You don't need it. Get this one. Like, this one's badass. This one is perfect. It gives you the adequate lamp lights so you can pull your projector back far enough so you can truly create that drive-in movie theater experience. It's cool, because I'm telling you right now, when it gets dark, my movie, which is giant, is HD quality. It's incredible. And this little Epson projector will do it for you. So we don't have to go overboard with it. And then once again, as a salesperson, as a realtor lender, congratulations. Not only did you get a speaker out of this, but you now have a really great projector for when you start doing more presentations to more people for more reasons. This one's killer.
Is it hardwired or Bluetooth?
Oh, thank you no, everything is Bluetooth today. Everything. In fact, you don't even need a computer. You could plug your flash drive right into the back of this Epson, and then you can have your your sound, Bluetooth with your projector running it. You don't need a computer. I use a computer and run it through there because I'm old, and it's easier for me. But yeah, I mean, it's true. But this is a great projector just to own.
Awesome.
Okay, so the other one, this is, think Home Depot, think Lowe's. You can go get a white tarp, and you can get these things any size that you want. By the way, 20 feet by 30 feet. Think of that.
Huge. huge.
It's massive. This thing is almost drive-in movie theater big. It's massive. It's huge. Now, this, again, it's going to cost you about $60. You can get a smaller canvas one. That is white. The whole thing is you want them white. You don't want the gray. You don't want the blue. You want it white. Trust me on this. Because it's just going to reflect a lot better. Your picture quality just goes through the roof. Now, when you get a tarp, you can get the canvas one or these polyurethane ones. But here's what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you have the wrinkles out. So if you go with a polyurethane one, like lay it out on your driveway for half a day and just let the thing settle out. And here's what I did. I got a canvas one and I got out an iron and I sat there for 30 minutes and I ironed out all the creases. But when I put my screen up, it was like tight. It was super tight. And, you know, we weren't dealing with shadows with creases. So, and I think, you know, like you want good sound quality. Well, let's not do all this and not get the creases out in the screen because your movie quality will be night and day. But again, this is a Home Depot, Lowe's type of thing. $60 is the high end that you're going to pay for this. You could probably go somewhere as low as $20, but you want to make sure that you get one that is either white or off-white. Okay, here's the technical part of this conversation. Now, this is going to save you a ton of money. All right, because you have to get a power source. Now, your power source could either be a generator or it could be a battery pack. Now, generators are gonna, if you're gonna get a quiet one, you have to run, they're heavy, they're expensive. Just don't deal with generators unless you already have one that's called a whisper. Like literally, if your generator's called a Harley Davidson, don't get it.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, if your generator's called a whisper, maybe it'll work, but you're still dealing with the noise of a generator. Now, what I decided was I thought, shoot, well, I'm going to do the battery packs. Like there's no noise. They're rechargeable. So I went to the, you know, the battery and bulbs place. Have you ever seen, do you guys have those battery and bulbs or like lights and bulbs and battery places? They like popped up all over the place. I'm like, who in the hell goes to these places? So anyways, I went down to battery and bulbs and they sell, you know, deep cell marine batteries and they, you know, multiple cell batteries and you can get them really cheap. But here's two things that you have to do. If you're going to buy a battery, you have to have a charger for that battery, a slow charger or a trickle charge. And then you have to have an inverter for that battery. So here are the three things. And again, this is everything soup to nuts. You guys are done after this. So this is how you charge your battery so you can use it week in and week out. Now, here's what I recommend. Put it on your slow charger the night before. So this is pretty easy. It's $40. You plug it in, you hook it up to your terminals, and you just leave it alone. And it will give that battery a deep charge, okay? So just $40 for that, and then put it back in its bag, and you're done with it. Then the next thing you're gonna wanna get is, this is a great one. Again, this is at the batteries and bulbs place that we have here. But this is, I believe it's a Duracell, isn't it? But this is your 12-volt DC converter. I know it sounds complicated. It's not. You just go get your converter and you hook it up to the terminals on your fully charged battery. And you'll notice over there, you see how you have your plugs and you're on and off. Now I'm just using my battery like I'm using an outlet in my house. And in fact, what I do is I'll go ahead and I'll put a surge protector that has like 5 outlets and I'll plug 5 things into my battery. So again, for $30, we now have a perfect source of energy fee for our movie, for our projector, for my music beforehand and everything. It's $30. Okay, then you got to get your battery. And again, this is at the bulbs and battery place. You could probably find this online, but this is a Duracell. And it's going for $214. Again, I told you guys, this isn't necessarily cheap, but now you own all this stuff. And these batteries are cool because they are designed for the long haul. This is what they're designed for. This battery, I mean, it probably weighs 70 pounds. It's crazy. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my inverter and I'm hooking it up on these terminals, okay? And then all I have to do is, once I have my inverter on there, I plug in my projector, I plug in my speaker, I plug in my flash drive, and now I am completely autonomous. I could do this in the middle of the desert if I wanted to. All right, so if we got all of this stuff, here's what the cost is. The flash drive is $22, the Bose speaker's $200, the bungee cords are $7, the projector's $450. As we go down here in the state of California, we have 7.5% sales tax. So out the door, everything with taxes, I'm $1,240 into this thing. And again, I need to stress this here. Now I own my own drive-in movie theater. Now think of this, guys. Hey, you know what's not open right now? Movie theaters. Right. They're not open anywhere. And guess what? People ain't going back because they're all tripped out about this Corona thing and they don't want to sit next to somebody who's sneezing, but they still want to see movies. I now own the movie theater in Vacaville. And I'm going on week 3 and this thing is growing and growing and growing. And and what I get to do is I get to be the master of ceremonies and I can pick any realtors or any lenders that I want to give the opportunity to market here. And what we're doing is we're bringing in, you see 57% of people own homes in all across this country in every major metro area. And the last time I checked, people like to live in houses. They don't want to live in tents underneath freeway overpasses. So all the people who come to my movie are people who either own a home or aspire to own a home. And I know based on stats from NAR that 75% of them are thinking, maybe I should sell my home and move up or move down. We are creating the perfect environment to allow those conversations to take place. Because once the movie starts, this is just a social hour for me. I'm just walking around introducing myself to people. Who are you? Why the hell would you do this? Because I can. Because it doesn't really cost me anything. And oh, by the way, if one of you buys a house, you've just paid off my $1,239 10 times over. And I own the infrastructure, and I now own the movie theater in Vacaville. Because think of it, marketing always has to be time specific. It does. Like, this is a great idea today. Probably wasn't as great of an idea like 3 months ago. But, the AMC movie theater, which is big and beautiful right next to my house, just filed for bankruptcy. And they're going to be doing that all across the country, and people are not going back. This is a chance for you to own a piece of what's going on in your community. This is a chance for you to bring, a happy moment to your neighbors in your community. And again, at the end of the day, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I'm a champ to my daughter and her friends.
Amen.
Scoreboard.
Brian, we've got some questions.
Sure.
The first one is a basic question. What do you do to prohibit or stop people from walking through the projection?
Okay, that's actually a really good question, because here's what happens. I'm generally the one who walks through it more than anybody else, because what I did is I set everything up in front, and that's where I put my cooler and my popcorn. So what I did was I created a situation where if people wanted to get like a snack or something that I'm providing for them, they had to go up front. And now, even if you're not walking in front of the projector, you're walking in front of other people who are on blankets. And you know what I mean? So it's like a movie theater. Your concession stand goes in the back. So I put my stuff on a fold-up table up front, but now I just get a fold-up table and put it in the back, and I put my cooler back there. So if somebody wants to get something, I'm pushing them away from the movie as opposed to towards the movie.
I like it. Now, do you have, now being in the time, so first of all, this is good at any time. It's obviously good now. I think this will be great in 2 years when we're out of all of this, right? But do you have to be concerned with, because Jen says that she doesn't think she could do it in her area because of a maximum number of people that they can have at a gathering. And do you need to have permits?
Probably. This is, there's a certain component of this for me that is forgiveness versus permission, I suppose. But here's what I do know in a lot of communities. And again, looking at the world that we're dealing with right now, the only thing I'm doing, and again, remember on my flyer, everything is safe, distancing. I'm not an 18-year-old kid throwing a rager with, a keg of beer down there going nuts. I'm providing a movie for families and their kids in a very controlled environment. And yes, I am controlling the environment. And, here's my thing is all I'm doing is I'm providing a real healthy, happy way to put smiles on people's faces in my neighborhood where God knows we need it now. And I have a number of cops who live around me and cops who drive by this park. In the last 2 weeks I've done it. Yes, I've seen a bunch of cops over there and they're looking at what's going on and they're cool with it because we're not going nuts. Now, here's what gave me the idea, guys, is I started noticing as I'm driving by this park every day, I'm like, damn, those tennis courts, like for the past 5 years, nobody's used them. Now those tennis courts are packed every day, And so people are using our parks, and that could be a good litmus test for you. So if your parks are dead and you guys have a hard lockdown, this might not work for you. But let's open our eyes and be aware of what's around us. If you're seeing that people are using your parks on a much more regular basis, this is just an extension of that. And when you make your flyers, you know, let's use the right verbiage that people are looking at. Let's be safe. Let's social distance, you know, and that's the idea. What I'm not doing is I'm not providing booze to anybody but me. And, and you know, and I want this, I will provide soft drinks and water and stuff like that. But my thing is I want this to be a community-based opportunity where everybody feels safe to go there. And, you know, my movies are always going to be safe. My music is going to be safe. You know, I provide the croquet and stuff like that as well that we haven't gotten into. You could, you know, for another $100, you can get some bocce balls and croquet and, you know, a couple Frisbees for people. My goal is I want this as family oriented, because that's who your clients are. You know, you want the young family who thinks that this is a good idea to do with their time. So that's the environment that I'm providing. And I think that's keeping me off the radar of anybody who might decide to make a stink about this whole thing.
I love it. Are there any royalty issues that you know of with the movies?
You know, again, that's an interesting one, because probably, but you know, so if you listen to your radio station, if you listen to any radio station, they will sample people's music on a regular basis, like every radio station in the world. And I'm like, oh, that's Chrissy Hines and the Pretenders. Oh, but that guy's using it at the beginning of a Judas Priest song like that. Like, how are they doing this? And how are they getting away with it? Because they're building a brand on it. I've actually called a number of radio stations. I'm like, how are you doing that? How are you paying for it? And they're like, we're not. Like, we're only using it for 15, 20 seconds. I'm like, okay. And the reason I bring this up is we used to use licensed music. We only do royalty-free music on our show now. We don't, and you know, we'll use little tidbits of movies. But my thing is this, is on the surface, I am not charging for anything. Like, on the surface, this is not a money-making opportunity for me. I'm not charging a fee to come into my movie theater. I'm not even charging for the popcorn. So it cannot be argued that I'm making money off of this. In fact, even if I'm putting a realtor up there or a lender up there, I am not charging for that ad space. So if you're going to say I'm using, you know, something that is has a copyright issue on it, you would then have to prove that I am financially benefiting or gaining from doing that. And I'm not gaining from anything. There's not a dollar that's going to, people have actually come out and said, we'd like to kind of participate with the money. But for me, I don't want to dilute the fact that I own this whole thing. No, hey, man, listen, you keep bringing your family out. Don't worry. I'm going to do this every single week. I got my hard cost up front, you know? So I'm not financially gaining from anything that I'm doing in this. You can't make that connection. And lastly, on this whole thing, because I do get it, because we send out so many videos on a regular basis that you have to look at, you know, copyright infringements on this stuff. But here's the whole thing, you know, we've got, I don't know, 250 million views on doing shows for the past 10 years, and I've showed clips of movies. It's not, no one's coming after me for what I'm doing on a grand scale with a National Real Estate Post. Nobody's going to come to Vacaville, California and get pissed off of me because I'm going to go show the Goonies. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Agreed. And I think what you said is the key, is that you're not making money on it. We just got done talking about this on a video webinar where they were asking about doing a video at, you know, like a monument or, you know, something like that, a public setting. And the answer is if you're not selling anything, you're not using the video to make money, then you should be fine.
Yeah.
But we are not your legal counsel. So if you're concerned about that, for sure, get that. And Terrell actually responded and said about the royalties, since you're not charging for the movie, it can be argued that this is a charitable activity. Good point. That's a good point. Somebody else asked, Brian, actually, I know the answer to this, but what holds up the tarp? The answer is bungee cords, because he used it on a fence. So again, it depends on your setting. And I was going to ask you this, Brian. You mentioned buying a tarp and using bungees to attach it to a fence. You can also just go to Amazon. You can get like a blow up screen. You can get different kinds of screens, right? So there's a lot of options out there.
And really what I was trying to do is I was trying to figure out, like, what's the best way to do this for the least amount of money? And so I'm leveraging what I had in front of me. And so, you know, if you have a park around you with tennis courts on it, that would be, or anywhere with, you know, a chain link fence around it, that's going to be a great way to go. And it's going to save you a few $100. And it's cool.
I get it. I love it. I love it. One more interesting question that I'm not sure if you're going to know the answer to this, but what about event liability? Like if someone gets hurt at your event?
You know, all right, this is going to sound bad. I don't care. Like, I really honestly don't care. Like, again, here's the reason I'm saying it too. And I'm not being cavalier. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not being cavalier about this, but I'm also not going to be afraid of good ideas. And I get why people get concerned about this. And, you know, the real estate lending community is like so adverse to everything is you know, aversion to risk, like contracts, you know, addenda, everything is to, you know, aversion to risk. And I just kind of think sometimes in life you got to take a risk. But here's what I would say. First of all, I am not providing alcohol. Okay. So nobody's going to be able to blame me for getting somebody's dad loaded, you know, where he's going to go do something stupid. The second thing is I'm doing this in a public setting. Okay. I'm doing this at a public park. Okay. I am simply providing a movie. I am not charging an entry fee. I'm not gaining. So I don't know how I could possibly carry any liability. And because my environment that we're setting up, I'll tell you this right now, if I found out like this thing was going sideways and we started getting the riffraff in there, I'd shut it down or move to a different park. I don't want anything to do with that. Like I said, my 12-year-old daughter and her friends come down there and throw a ball around with a dog. That's the audience I'm looking for because they're the ones who are buying and selling homes. My audience up until this point has been exactly what I'm looking for. And so I don't see it as a real high risk environment, but say perhaps if somebody was trying to catch a Frisbee and they twisted their ankle and decided they wanted to sue me, I think they'd have a really hard case at proving that. I just do. Because again, I'm not charging for anything. It's in a public setting. I'm simply showing a movie. I mean, that would be my answer, but I get the question. I really honestly do. I understand the question, but I guess my exposure to any type of risk in this, my gain far outweighs my risk. It just far outweighs my risk on a multitude of levels, on a personal level and a professional one.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on this one only because we've done it in the past, and so I wanted just to address those concerns that people have, because if they do want to go the other route, what we did is we used a community center, and the community center is in charge of the park. And through the community center, once we set this up, they provided for us the information to grab the movies so that they're legally there, right? If you do want to go that route. And also the insurance that we needed. And the insurance, believe it or not, wasn't that expensive. It was like $100, easy, right? Just in case something did happen. And the movie ended up costing us $400. That was it to watch. So if you want to go that route, you definitely can. I put some links in there to places you can go for movies. And for insurance, reach out to your insurance for your vehicle or for your home. They actually do carry event insurance as well. How do I know? Because when we go to these events for lab coat agents, Allstate is the one that gives us insurance just in case shit goes south. So there you go.
Yeah, and you know, and by the way, I do realtor and lender events around the country, and you know, and when we're in those settings, which is very clearly a professional setting, you know, we're always getting you know, insurance retainers. I get where you're coming from on that, and I get if somebody wants to go down that route. But our goal here is, you know, you're going to get 50, 100 people who are half of which are going to be homeowners in your neighborhood, and you're providing something fantastic for their kids. What you're going to find in the process are people are just going to be grateful and thankful. And you're going to be able to have a conversation about real estate on a term where they're more inclined to hear your voice. And when they hear you, your conversion ratio can go through the roof on it.
I love it, man. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Agreed as well. I think you got to decide your level of risk tolerance, basically. Saying again, I hate to do this, but a lot of people say the same thing about China owning TikTok. You've got to decide what your level of risk is.
It's a great idea. It's a fun community-based thing to do. It's relatively inexpensive, you know, in the grander scheme of things. And you're gonna put a whole bunch of smiles on people's faces when at a time in our country where I think we need more smiles.
Yeah. Agreed.
So again,
all right, so what's this cool thing right here you got?
This is just some of the other things that you can get if you chose to. You can get a popcorn maker. Bocce balls are great. A couple of Frisbees. Croquet is super. When was the last time you played croquet? I'm telling you right now, it's way more fun than you remember.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, yep. So anyways, yeah, we set this whole thing up. I'm now going on week 3. It's growing in popularity. Again, people have asked, hey, can we participate in cost? I will categorically across the board say no, because I think we take on liability at that point. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm showing a movie in the park for people to come down to, people who are going to the park anyways. So it's a great idea, and it's a great way to pick up listings, which is what this industry needs right now. We need more listings than we need buyers. And I know for real estate agents, listen, everybody wants to be a listing agent. I get it. And this is a great way for you to really help your community.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
Fantastic, man. I appreciate you being on today. And for those of you that are still on, let me just remind you, this is going to become a bi-weekly thing with Frank and Brian, Frank or Brian. And the intent is to continue to bring, we're going to call it the state of the month, because Brian and Frank do such a great job of letting us know what's going on in the industries. Sometimes we'll probably go down these rabbit holes and share great ideas, because clearly he has a great one. Other times we're going to share more tactical stuff. So Brian, this has been awesome. This has been a great intro to Lab Coat Agents. We're really excited to continue to do this with you, and likewise with your community. Tristan, you got anything to add before we finish?
No, man, I'm glad I came and showed up. This was good.
Well,
Awesome.
for the next time we sit down and talk, I'm going to show you realtors how to essentially get Zillow long form leads free of charge. This is a really good strategy. That's next.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Thank you guys for being on today, and we will see you next time, I think, in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I love this. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to it.
Likewise, man. Likewise. See you soon.
All right. Later.